Commander Jack Thompson stood motionless on the bridge of the HSS Phantom, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. The massive black shape in the distance seemed to swallow the starlight around it. For 3 months, they had chased this mysterious vessel across 5 star systems, always staying just far enough behind to avoid detection. Now, they were finally within strike range. "Status report," Jack said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. The bridge crew had learned to match his quiet tone during stealth operations, as if the enemy might hear them through the vacuum of space. "All systems running silent." "Sir," Lieutenant Maria Ross replied from her tactical station. Her fingers hovered over the weapons controls, ready but not touching. "Quantum camouflage is holding steady at 98% effectiveness." "Engineering reports all green," added Alan Wright, his eyes never leaving the science station's readings. "But sir, there's something odd about the energy signature we're picking up from the target." Jack turned slightly, raising an eyebrow. "Explain." "The black ship. It's not just dark in appearance. It's actually absorbing energy from nearby space, like a hole in reality." Ellen adjusted several settings on his console. "I've never seen anything like it. Our sensors can barely get a reading." The bridge fell silent as this information sank in. Through the main viewport, Jack could see the distant shape growing larger. The vessel was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the Phantom, but its exact dimensions were hard to pin down. The hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, making it impossible to focus on any one part for too long. "Distance to target?" Jack asked, breaking the silence. 200,000 kilometers and closing," Maria answered. "We're still well outside their theoretical sensor range, based on our previous observations." Jack nodded slowly. The Phantom was humanity's most advanced stealth vessel, incorporating technology that most of the human fleet wouldn't see for another decade. But even with all their advantages, approaching this mysterious ship felt like poking a sleeping dragon. "Begin active scan, lowest power possible," he ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with before we get any closer." Alan's fingers flew across his console. "Sir, getting some unusual readings. The hull composition. It's like nothing in our database. And there's something else." He paused, frowning at his display. "I'm detecting power fluctuations that suggest weapons systems, but they're orders of magnitude more powerful than anything we've ever encountered." "Show me," Jack said, moving to look over Alan's shoulder. The energy readings on the display were off the charts, suggesting weapon systems that could vaporize a small moon. A soft beep from Maria's station drew their attention. "Sir, I'm detecting movement. The target is adjusting its course. New heading." She stopped mid-sentence, her face paling. "Sir, it's turning toward the Collins colony." Jack's jaw tightened. The Collins colony was home to over 3 million civilians. They had watched this ship destroy 2 smaller outposts already, leaving nothing but debris fields in its wake. He wouldn't let that happen again. "Battle stations," he ordered, his voice still quiet but filled with steel. "Bring all weapons to standby, but keep them powered down. Maintain quantum camouflage at maximum efficiency." Red warning lights pulsed silently throughout the bridge as the crew prepared for combat. The black ship grew larger in their view, its impossible surface seeming to bend the light of nearby stars around it. "Sir," Alan called out, his voice tense, "I'm detecting an energy buildup in the target. It's unlike anything we've seen before, if these readings are correct." He swallowed hard. "Sir, that ship could destroy the entire Collins system." Jack's hands gripped the railing in front of him. They had trained for this, prepared for this, but facing the reality of such overwhelming power made his mouth go dry. Still, they were humanity's best hope. The Phantom might be smaller, might be less powerful, but they had something this alien vessel didn't: the unpredictability of the human spirit. "Tactical, prepare a firing solution," he ordered. "Engineering, divert all available power to the quantum camouflage. We're not running anymore." It's time to show this thing what humanity can do. The tension on the Phantom's bridge reached a breaking point when the black ship suddenly stopped moving. Its massive form hung in space like a tear in reality, completely motionless against the backdrop of stars. "Report," Jack ordered, his eyes never leaving the main screen. "Sir, the target has powered down its main engines," Maria said, her voice steady despite the stress. "But there's something else. Energy readings are spiking across its hull." Before Jack could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with the same message. The text appeared in perfect English, glowing with an unnatural blue light. "CUBMIT to CLA Sci-Fi or FACEXTINC. What the hell?" Jack muttered. He turned to Alan at the science station. Analysis. Alan's fingers moved rapidly across his console. "Sir, the message is being transmitted on all frequencies simultaneously. The power required for this kind of broadcast is incredible. But there's more." He paused, checking his readings again. "The message is also being sent in every known human language, plus at least 300 other alien languages we've never seen before." The message flickered and changed. "Species 4872b. Designation. Human. Classification required." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "They've been studying us," he said quietly. "All those attacks on our outposts, they weren't random. They were gathering data." A new voice crackled through the ship's speakers, artificial and emotionless. "Your species requires classification. Resistance will result in immediate termination. You have 3 minutes to power down your systems and prepare for scanning." "Sir," Maria called out, her voice tense. "The black ship is charging weapons. Those energy readings from before, they just doubled." Jack straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. "Open a channel." "Channel open, sir." "This is Commander Jack Thompson of the human stealth ship Phantom. We are a sovereign species. We do not submit to classification by unknown entities." The response was immediate. "Classification is not optional. Your species has demonstrated concerning levels of technological advancement without proper categorization. This anomaly must be corrected." "Weapons range in 30 seconds, Maria reported. Jack's mind raced. They couldn't outgun this thing. That much was clear. But maybe they didn't have to. "Alan, what exactly happens during their scanning process?" "Based on these readings, sir, they use some kind of quantum-level scanning beam. It would read everything. Our technology, our biology, our entire ship's database, and our quantum camouflage. Could they scan through it?" Alan's eyes widened as he understood. "No, sir. I don't think they could. The quantum interference would make any scan results useless." Jack finished. He allowed himself a small smile. "Tactical, power up all defensive systems, but keep them running through the quantum camouflage matrix. Engineering, divert everything we can spare to strengthen the camouflage field." The black ship's voice returned. "Your time expires in 60 seconds. Prepare for classification or face extinction." "Sir," Maria said, "if we route power to defenses through the camouflage, we won't be able to fire back effectively." "We're not going to fire back, Lieutenant." Jack's voice was calm now. "We're going to show them why humanity doesn't fit into neat little boxes." The massive alien vessel began to move again, its impossible surface rippling like dark water. Energy readings continued to climb as it prepared both its scanning beams and weapons. 30 seconds to scanning range, Ellen reported. Jack took his command chair, his posture relaxed despite the danger. "All hands, brace for possible impact. Remember your training. Today, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for humanity's right to remain unclassified." The black ship loomed closer, its presence now filling their entire view screen. The final countdown began, but Jack Thompson wasn't worried anymore. Sometimes the best way to fight wasn't with weapons at all. Sometimes you won by simply refusing to play by the enemy's rules. The scanning beam from the black ship shot out like liquid darkness, reaching for the Phantom. Jack held his breath, along with everyone else on the bridge. This was the moment of truth. Impact in 3, 2, 1. Alan counted down. The beam hit their quantum camouflage field, and something unexpected happened. Instead of piercing through their defenses, the scanning beam scattered into thousands of tiny fragments, like light hitting a broken mirror. "Sir," Ellen's voice was filled with excitement. "The quantum camouflage isn't just blocking their scan. It's reflecting it back with random data." On the main screen, they could see the black ship pause its approach. The artificial voice returned, but this time there was a hint of confusion in its mechanical tone. "Error. Scan results inconclusive. Initiating secondary scan protocols." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "What are they seeing, Alan?" "According to these readings, sir, our quantum field is sending back hundreds of different ship configurations. Every time they try to scan us, they get a different result. Their system can't get a fixed reading to classify us." Maria spoke up from Tactical. "Sir, they're charging weapons. I think we made them angry." "Good." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "That means they're capable of frustration. And anything capable of frustration can make mistakes." He turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Let's show them what the Phantom can really do." The black ship fired its first shot, a beam of energy that could have cut through a normal vessel like paper. But the Phantom was already moving, its quantum camouflage bending both light and space around it. The beam passed through empty space where they had been just seconds before. "Status of the quantum field?" Jack asked. "Holding steady at 97%, sir," Alan replied. "Each attack actually seems to strengthen the field's randomization effect. Their own weapons are making us harder to track." The artificial voice boomed through their speakers again. "Unknown vessel, your resistance is illogical. Classification is inevitable. Submit or be destroyed." Jack pressed a button on his chair. "This is Commander Thompson. Here's our submission. We submit that your classification system is outdated. Humanity doesn't fit in your neat little boxes, and we never will." The Phantom danced through space, each movement precisely calculated. Every time the black ship tried to lock on, they were somewhere else, leaving behind only quantum echoes that showed hundreds of different possible vessels. "Sir," Maria called out, "they're launching some kind of autonomous scanning drones. Dozens of them." "Perfect," Jack said, surprising his crew. "That's exactly what I was hoping for. Alan, remember that trick we developed for dealing with multi-vector attacks?" Alan's eyes lit up with understanding. "The quantum mirror protocol, sir, but we've never tested it in actual combat." "No time like the present." Jack turned to face his crew. "Listen up, everyone. We're about to try something that's either brilliant or crazy. Probably both. Route all non-essential power to the quantum field generators. We're going to turn their own scanning system against them." As the swarm of scanning drones surrounded the Phantom, Jack gave the order. The ship's quantum camouflage field expanded suddenly, creating a bubble of pure chaos in space. Each drone that entered the field began receiving different, contradictory data about what it was scanning. "Sir," Ellen's voice was filled with amazement. "The drones are starting to malfunction. They're trying to classify us, but each one is getting different readings. They're actually starting to scan each other, trying to determine which reading is correct." The black ship hummed motionless in space as its drones flew in confused patterns, each one insisting it had found the real Phantom, each one detecting something completely different. The perfect classification system was facing something it had never encountered before, a target that refused to be classified at all. "Send them another message," Jack ordered. Tell them that humanity's greatest strength is that we defy simple classification. We are what we choose to be, not what others decide we should be." The bridge of the Phantom shook as another energy blast passed nearby. The black ship had given up on precise targeting and was now firing in patterns, trying to catch them with sheer volume of attacks. Quantum field holding at 93%, Alan reported, his fingers dancing across his console. But we can't keep this up forever, sir. Each near miss is draining our power reserves. Jack studied the tactical display, watching the pattern of enemy fire. There was something mechanical about it, too perfect in its execution. Maria, what do you see in their attack pattern? Maria's eyes narrowed as she analyzed the data. It's systematic, sir. They're dividing space into perfect grids and firing at each section in sequence. No human would fight like that. Exactly. Jack stood up and walked to the main view screen. They're not adapting. They're following a program. He turned to face his crew. And programs can be predicted. A massive asteroid field floated in the distance, its rocks rich with various minerals. Jack pointed to it. Alan, what would happen if we used those asteroids to reflect our quantum field? Alan's eyes widened. The mineral content, yes. The crystals in those rocks could amplify and scatter our energy signature. But sir, flying through that field at combat speed would be incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than staying here, Jack asked as another blast rocked the ship. Shield strength down to 89%, Maria reported. They're getting closer with each shot. Jack returned to his command chair. Plot a course through the asteroid field. Use the rocks for cover, but get as close to the largest mineral deposits as you can. Alan, reconfigure the quantum field to maximum broadcast strength. The Phantom turned sharply, accelerating toward the field of floating rocks. The black ship followed, its massive form moving with unnatural precision. They're pursuing, but they've reduced speed, Maria said. Those asteroids are too small to damage them, but too dense for their sensors to penetrate effectively. That's what I'm counting on, Jack replied. Start the quantum field broadcast. Now. The Phantom's unique camouflage system began interacting with the mineral-rich asteroids. Each crystal formation picked up their energy signature and began broadcasting it, creating dozens, then hundreds of false readings. It's working, Alan exclaimed. The asteroids are acting like quantum mirrors. The black ship is detecting Phantom signatures everywhere. On their screens, they could see the enemy vessel pause its advance. Its perfect firing pattern faltered as its sensors were overwhelmed with contradictory data. The mechanical voice returned, but now it sounded distorted. Error, multiple classification conflicts detected. Unable to verify target parameters. System requires recalibration. Now, Maria, Jack ordered. Hit them with the electromagnetic pulse while their systems are confused. Maria pressed a series of commands, and the Phantom released a specially modified EMP burst. The pulse bounced off the mineral-rich asteroids, amplifying and splitting into multiple waves. The black ship's surface rippled as the pulses hit it from multiple angles. Its perfect symmetry wavered for the first time since they'd encountered it. Direct hit, Maria reported. Their energy readings are fluctuating. I think we actually hurt them. Not hurt, Jack corrected. Confused. Their whole system is based on perfect classification and order. We're showing them something their programs never accounted for: organized chaos. The enemy vessel's voice crackled through their speakers again, but now it was speaking in multiple languages simultaneously, its programming clearly struggling. Error, classification impossible. Parameters exceed. System limitations. Sir, Alan called out, excitement in his voice. Their main weapon systems are powering down. I think their classification protocols are forcing them to stop and recalibrate. Jack allowed himself a small smile. They hadn't won yet, but they'd proven something important. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology or its weapons. It was its ability to think in ways that no program, no matter how advanced, could predict. The temporary victory gave the Phantom's crew a moment to breathe, but Jack knew better than to celebrate too early. The black ship hung motionless among the asteroids, its surface occasionally rippling like disturbed water. "Alan, what's their status?" Jack asked, keeping his eyes on the main screen. "Their systems are definitely disrupted, sir, but—" Alan paused, frowning at his readings. "Something odd is happening. They're not trying to repair their weapons. Instead, they're diverting massive power to their visual sensors." "Visual sensors," Jack repeated. "Why would an advanced ship like that prioritize simple cameras over their main weapons?" Maria spoke up from Tactical. "Sir, look at this." She sent a replay to the main screen, showing their entire battle so far. Every time we confused their advanced scanning systems, they switched to visual tracking. It's like they have to maintain actual visual contact with their target. "Wait," Alan said suddenly, his fingers flying across his console. "Playing back all our encounters, yes. Even during the attacks on our outposts, they always maintain visual contact before attacking. I don't think it's a choice. I think it's a requirement." Jack stood up, walking closer to the screen. "A limitation in their programming. Something so basic they can't override it." "It makes sense," Alan continued excitedly. "Their whole system is based on classification. You can't classify something without observing it. Their programming must require visual confirmation before they can take any significant action." The black ship's voice crackled through their speakers again, but now it was speaking in what sounded like multiple voices at once. "Target lost. Reacquiring visual. Classification protocols require direct observation." "That's it," Jack said quietly. "That's their weakness. They're not just gathering data. They're bound by their programming to maintain visual contact for their classification systems to work." He turned to his crew. "Ideas?" Maria's eyes lit up. "Sir, remember that experimental hologram system we were testing? The one for creating false sensor readings. That was designed for fooling basic scanners," Alan pointed out. "It wouldn't work on their advanced systems." "But we don't need to fool their advanced systems," Jack said, understanding Maria's plan. "We just need to confuse their visual confirmation protocols." He pressed a button on his chair. "Engineering, how quickly can you modify our hologram projectors to work through the quantum field?" The chief engineer's voice came back. "Give us 10 minutes, sir, but the power drain will be significant." "Do it," Jack ordered, and route all non-essential power to the projectors. "We're going to give our friend out there something interesting to look at." As the engineering team worked, the black ship began to move again, though more slowly than before. Its surface had stopped rippling, but now it seemed to be scanning every asteroid methodically, searching for them. "They're trying to reestablish visual contact," Ellen reported. "Their advanced sensors are still scrambled from our quantum field interference, so they're falling back on basic visual scanning." "Perfect," Jack said. "That's exactly what we want. How long until the holograms are ready?" "Engineering reports ready in 3 minutes," Maria answered. "But, sir, we'll only have enough power for about 5 minutes of projection." 5 minutes might be all we need." Jack looked at his crew. "We're not trying to destroy them. We just need to prove that their classification system doesn't work on us. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to beat your enemy, but to show them that their entire approach is flawed." The black ship's voice came again, stronger now. "Visual acquisition protocols engage. Target will be found. Classification will proceed." "No," Jack said quietly. "Classification will fail. Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to be unpredictable, to be more than what others try to define us as." He straightened in his chair. "Prepare the hologram projectors. Let's show them why you can't put humanity in a box." "Hologram projectors ready," Maria reported, her voice tense with anticipation. "Power levels at maximum." Jack nodded, his eyes fixed on the black ship that was still searching for them among the asteroids. "Begin projection sequence. Remember, we don't need to fool their advanced sensors. We just need to overwhelm their visual classification protocols." The space around the Phantom suddenly came alive with light. Dozens of holographic ships appeared, each one an exact copy of the Phantom, but each displaying slightly different characteristics. Some appeared larger, others smaller. Some showed different weapon configurations, while others displayed varying energy signatures. Visual projections holding steady, Alan called out. The quantum field is actually enhancing the holograms, making them more solid than we expected. The black ship stopped its methodical search, its sensors suddenly confronted with multiple targets. Its mechanical voice echoed through their speakers, but now it was filled with conflicting commands. Multiple targets detected. Classification protocols engaged. Error. Conflicting visual data. Unable to establish baseline parameters. It's working, Maria said excitedly. Their visual systems are trying to classify each hologram separately. Jack leaned forward in his chair. Now for Phase 2. Begin random configuration changes. The holographic ships started to shift and change. What looked like a military vessel one moment transformed into a civilian ship the next. Weapon systems appeared and disappeared. Power signatures fluctuated wildly. Their processing systems are getting overwhelmed, Alan reported, watching his sensors. They're trying to maintain visual classification on every target simultaneously, but the constant changes are forcing them to restart the process again and again. The black ship's surface began to ripple more violently than before, its perfect form distorting as its systems struggled to cope with the impossible task before it. Its voice came through in broken fragments. Error. Classification impossible. Parameters exceed. Fundamental protocols. System overload. Power to hologram projectors down to 60%. Maria warned. We can't maintain this for much longer. We don't need to, Jack replied calmly. Look at their hull structure. The black ship's surface was now rippling continuously, its once perfect form breaking down as its classification protocols conflicted with each other. Every time it tried to classify one target, the others would change, forcing it to start over. Sir, Alan called out suddenly. I'm detecting massive power fluctuations in their core systems. Their programming. It's creating some kind of feedback loop. Jack nodded grimly. They're programmed to classify everything they see, but we're showing them something that defies classification. An endless series of contradictions that their rigid programming can't resolve. The space around them filled with the black ship's increasingly chaotic transmissions, now speaking in hundreds of languages simultaneously. Unable to proceed. Classification protocols fundamental. Cannot classify. Cannot proceed. Error. 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 Power to projectors at 40%. Maria reported. 30 seconds of projection time remaining. Hold steady, Jack ordered. We're not trying to destroy them. We just need to prove that their entire classification system is flawed when it comes to humanity. The black ship's surface had become a churning mass of liquid metal, its perfect form completely lost as its systems fought against their own programming. Suddenly, all its weapons powered down, and its voice came through one final time, now speaking in clear English. Classification protocols failed. Target species demonstrates ability to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Standard parameters insufficient. Retreat and recalibration required. The crew of the Phantom watched in amazement as the massive black ship's surface slowly stabilized. Without another word, it turned away from their holograms and began to move off, its engines powering up for faster-than-light travel. They're leaving, Maria asked in disbelief. No, Jack corrected with a small smile. They're learning. Sometimes victory isn't about destruction. It's about teaching your enemy that there are things in the universe that can't be put into neat little boxes. As the black ship prepared to leave, Jack kept the Phantom systems at ready. Years of military experience had taught him that retreat could sometimes be a trick. But something felt different this time. Sir, Alan called from his station. I'm detecting something unusual. They're transmitting data, but not to us. It looks like they're sending a message to somewhere deep in unknown space. Can you decode it? Jack asked. Alan worked at his console for a moment. Yes, sir. It's fascinating. They're updating their central classification database. Listen to this. The mechanical voice played one final time through their speakers, but now it was calm, almost contemplative. Species 4872b classification update. Humanity demonstrates unique characteristic designated as adaptive uncertainty. Standard classification protocols insufficient. Species capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously. Recommend creation of new classification category. They're not just retreating, Maria said with wonder in her voice. They're actually changing their entire system because of us. Jack nodded slowly. We didn't just survive their classification. We forced them to evolve. To recognize that not everything in the universe fits into predetermined categories. The black ship's engines flared brightly, preparing for its jump to faster-than-light speed. But before it vanished, it sent one final message. To human vessel Phantom. Classification protocols revised. Your species presents unique paradigm. Future encounters will utilize modified protocols. Farewell. In a flash of dark energy, the massive vessel disappeared, leaving the Phantom's crew in stunned silence. Power levels returning to normal, Maria reported after a moment. All systems stabilizing. Should we pursue, sir? Jack shook his head. No. We've accomplished something more important than destruction here. We've proven that humanity can't be simply categorized and filed away. That our ability to adapt and change is our greatest strength. Alan spoke up from his station. Sir, I've been analyzing their final transmission. It seems they're part of some kind of ancient system, possibly created by a long-dead civilization. They've been traveling the galaxy, categorizing and classifying every species they encounter. And now they'll have to rethink their entire approach, Jack said with satisfaction. Because they met a species that refuses to be put in a box. The bridge crew began running system checks, making sure the Phantom was fully operational after their unusual battle. As they worked, Jack walked to the main viewport, staring out at the stars. Send a message to command, he ordered. Tell them we've made first contact with an ancient classification system, and we've taught it something about humanity's true nature. What should we say about the black ship itself, sir? Maria asked. Jack thought for a moment. Tell them that we encountered a force that tried to define us by its own rigid standards, and we showed it that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to be unpredictable, to be more than what others expect us to be. As the Phantom set course for home, Jack looked at his crew with pride. They had faced an overwhelming force, and won not through superior firepower, but through creativity and the uniquely human ability to defy expectations. One more thing, he added. Add this to the report. Today, we didn't just protect humanity. We forced an ancient system to recognize that the universe is more complex than simple classifications can capture. And maybe, just maybe, we've changed how that system will interact with other species it encounters in the future. The Phantom moved smoothly through space, its quantum camouflage now powered down but ready. They had won this battle not by destroying their enemy, but by teaching it something new. And in doing so, they had proven that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their advanced technology or powerful ships. It was their ability to change, adapt, and show others that some things in the universe simply can't be classified.